Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Thanks so much for taking the time to watch my story. I appreciate that. So today I wanted to continue with the story that I was starting to talk about last week. Last week I talked a little bit about being an empath and, some of the things some of the kind of the good points and the bad points about being an empath and really what you can do with it. Tell some people like, oh, I saw your story and I cried. I was really, sad for that little girl who was sort of feeling lost. And I said, you know what, it's fine because now it's my superpower. So and then they laugh at me. It really is a superpower, sort of being able to feel what other people feel. You just need to be able to have the right mentors and teachers to be able to help guide you with it. And also the right boundaries. So that you don't feel that you feel blessed by your gift and not overwhelmed by it, and because other people can take advantage of it when they see it in you. So be able to have the boundaries to be able to do that and ask for what you need too. I always tell people that one of the things I did when I was 18 is I became a lifeguard, and one of the things that we learned as a lifeguard is do not jump in to save somebody else, because they will take you down and they'll be on top of the water and you'll be drowning. So you can throw things into the water to save them, but don't throw yourself in to rescue a drowning person, because they will get on top they'll save themselves by drowning you. And I always kept that lesson with me. So today I kind of wanted to tell you a little bit about the spiritual side, right? Because I don't have a traditional story. And when I hear other people's stories and they say, the people who are mediums and spiritual teachers and healers, and they say, when I was younger, my grandmother would be in my room, and so I'd always see spirits in my room, and other people would tell me, that she's been gone for years, you couldn't possibly see her, that sort of thing. So I didn't have stories like that, and I was kind of depressed about that, because I said, well, I guess then I'm not supposed to do mediumship or be a psychic or be a healer, because I didn't have experiences like that. But I did have some experiences that I do want to share with you that don't seem traditional, and maybe this will speak to you too. So looking back in my youth, I did used to feel like aliens were coming into my room, and for years I was scared to death that aliens were going to come in the middle of the night and take me with them. And I would not sleep. So now looking back, some people are saying, well, it may be that you did realize that somebody was in your room and you just didn't realize that they were spirit. And so that could be what was really happening, that they really were in your room and you just were not aware of that that's what it was, but you did feel some sort of presence. So I'm like, okay, that kind of makes sense. But a couple of the other stories really center around a family member who took a very large role in sort of helping me to understand that I did have certain gifts, right? So this particular family member is my Uncle Danny, and my Uncle Danny my dad's the oldest of 6, and my dad's the oldest, and Uncle Danny was the next youngest. So he is roughly 21 years older than me. He was in the Marines in Vietnam, and he came back with horrible PTSD. So went back then when he was a Marine, he was sort of a shorter guy, and because he was shorter, he would be one of the guys that they would stick into a hole with a gun. They'd send him in front of the whole platoon or whatever. This is the story I was told, and he would make sure that there was nobody in the hole. So all they did was send him into a hole with a gun. Can you imagine how terrifying that must have been for him? A true American hero. But so he was very traumatized by the time he came back from Vietnam, and from a number of things, that being one of them, the things he saw and what happened while he was there, which he did not talk to me a whole lot about, because when he passed away, I was only 17 years old. So he passed away in 1987 at the VA, and I regret the fact that I did not really have a chance to know him as an adult. And yet I sort of do know him as an adult from the stories that I'm going to tell you. So I kind of got the feeling that he was around me, and I would kind of feel things, and things would make me think of him. And it kind of, I guess, got me started to thinking, okay, he's probably around. But the first story that I'm going to tell, really when I understood that he was around, was about 20 years after he passed. So about 2007, I was actually working with a couple, and one of the gentlemen from the couple was the same age as my uncle would have been. And just in the middle of the session, he started talking about his time in the Marines in Vietnam. And I'm like, okay, that's interesting. Now I'm not really thinking much about it, but then he starts talking about, starts talking about this guy that he knew in the Marines during the time he was at Vietnam. And I started to realize as he was going on that he was actually talking about my Uncle Danny. And there is no reason for this man to have been talking about my Uncle Danny, who had been dead for 20 years. It had nothing to do with why he was in couples therapy. So I'm going, okay, this is really odd. The more he talked about him, the more obvious it became that he was talking about him. So he couldn't remember his first name. And then all of a sudden he said, oh, his name was Danny. And my jaw must have hit the floor, because I was just not expecting it on this day. It was totally not going, it was not the context that we were in a couple session. So my jaw must have hit the floor, and I said his name, and he said, oh my God, that's it. That's his last name. How did you know him? Or how do you know that? And I was like, well, that was my uncle. And the both of us were floored. Now, I didn't say to him, I feel like he's all around me, and he's probably in this room right now, but that was the first time that I really got the hint that my Uncle Danny was saying, hey, I'm here. Not only was he saying I'm here, I really felt like he was telling me, I'm going to send you people that I really feel like you can help, and I want you to heal. At the time, I was not thinking about it, but now I am. He was telling me, you're a healer, and I trust the fact that you're going to heal these people. And a lot of the people that he sends me to deal with, or to help, or to me, tend to be vets of some sort, or they're actually Marines. And he really feels like I'm the person that's going to help him, because it becomes immediately apparent, just like that particular story, that he's around and he's sending them. So that was the first time. It was, like I said, it was about 2007. And for a long time after that, I really did feel like he was around, but I sort of ignored it. I really didn't make a big deal about it, because I had heard if you let them know that you're around and that you understand that they're there, that they'll actually get louder. And I'm like, I don't think that I want this to get louder. And what if other spirits feel like, that they know I can do this and hear them, and that they start sending people to me? Like, I didn't want it to be like, the movie Ghost, where all the people were sending people to me. And I was like, oh, I don't want that. So anytime he would kind of show me that he was around, I really ignored him. So at my house, he would move things and whatever, and I was aware of it. I just didn't make a big deal about it, and I never actually saw him. But in October of 2018, my husband and I had returned from a vacation. Now we have a historic home, and we have a detached garage. So I remember we had been away for about a week and a half, and the next morning, I was preparing to go to BJ's to fill the house with some food, and my husband went into the garage, opened the garage up, and there was a huge chair similar to the one that I'm sitting on now. Like, it's an office chair, but it's huge and overstuffed. We had put it at home because it needed to be fixed, and it was thrown way in the corner of the garage, a bunch of other stuff on it. My husband opened the garage door, and it was literally sitting in right in the middle aisle of the garage as he opened this door. And so my husband took a picture of it and texted it to me and said, did you move this chair here? And I was like, nope. And I literally, again, I was one of those, don't say it, I have no idea what you're talking about. I literally deleted the picture and the text my husband sent me, and I went to BJ's. Did not think anything about it. Again, I was in that state of denial, and I'm like, I don't want this to get louder. So I went to BJ's. A woman stops me as I'm shopping at BJ's. I'm going to make a very long story short, but it's an amazing story. So I'm shopping. This little woman comes up to me. She says, excuse me, I'm not sure if you believe in this or not, but there's a man standing next to you. And she starts describing exactly what he looks like. He's short. He's wearing a cap. He's got some fishing lures hanging on his cap. He's got he actually used to take the head of a decoy duck and put it in his pocket, and they called him Danny Duck. She's like, he has something in his pocket, or I think it's a duck head or something. And I'm like, oh my God. And she says, she's describing him perfectly, and she says that he's jumping up and down saying, what do I have to do to get her to understand that I'm sitting here? And listen to me. And she said, oh, he's showing me that he moved a chair. Oh my God. So she's seeing exactly what he did. Oh, and that your husband sent you a picture of the chair and you erased it. And she's like, oh, he's mad. He's saying, what do I have to do? I'm tired of doing all this stuff. And she's completely ignoring me. And I was like, oh my God. So I have never seen this woman before that or since. And her husband's like standing back there, kind of like, I guess she must do this all the time. So he had messages for me. He had things he wanted me to tell my dad, things about pictures he wanted taken out and put up of him, that sort of thing. Really like opened my eyes. And so that was October of 2018. And ever since then, I was like, okay, I guess you would like me to pay attention to you. So in the next couple of weeks, I will tell a couple more stories about some places that he has sent me to. And so a lot of them tend to be when I feel like when I need to go on a trip someplace. So last year we went to California, yes, in the middle of a pandemic. The story is pretty crazy, and I want you to hear that story because if things like this happen to you, I want you to understand that these are messages from your loved ones. You really do have to pay attention to them because they can be very subtle. They do try to talk to us. And I remember my dad saying, well, how come he came to you and talked and not me? I'm like, well, he did come and talk to you. But if you're not looking for those signs or if you don't pay attention to them, then you're going to miss it. So sometimes you just need to sit and listen. And when you say to yourself, that didn't really happen. You know what? It did. And so if you can relate to this, please, and if you're blessed by these videos, please make a comment. If there are subjects that you'd like to hear more about, you can email me or you can comment right on this post. Please hit the bell up above me so that you can subscribe to my posts. I would be truly blessed by that. Please like the post so I know what things you'd like to hear more about. If you'd like to contact me directly, you can go to my website, which is becknelson.com, so becknelson.com, or you can email me at becknelson@hopecounselingri.com, or you can just subscribe or leave a comment on this video. I really, truly appreciate you guys watching. Thank you so much.